Later on that day, the disciples had gathered together, but fearful of the Jews, had locked all the doors in the house. Jesus entered, standing among them, and said, "Peace to you." Then he showed them his hands and side. The disciples, seeing the Master with their own eyes, were exuberant. Jesus repeated his greeting, "Peace to you. Just as the Father sent me, I send you." Then he took a deep breath and breathed into them. "Receive the Holy Spirit," he said. "If you forgive someone's sins, they're gone for good. If you don't forgive sins, what are you going to do with them?" But Thomas, sometimes called the twin, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples told him, "We saw the Master." But he said, "Unless I see the nail holes in his hands, put my finger in the nail holes, and stick my hand in his side, I won't believe it." 8 days later, his disciples were again in the room. This time Thomas was with them. And Jesus came to the locked doors, stood among them, and said, "Peace to you." Then he focused his attention on Thomas. "Take your finger and examine my hands. Take your hand and stick it in my side. Don't be unbelieving. Believe." Thomas said, "My Master, my God." And Jesus said, "So you believe because you've seen with your own eyes. Even better blessings are in store for those who believe without seeing." Jesus provided far more God-revealing signs than are written down in this book. These are written down so you will believe that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of God, and in the act of believing, have real and eternal life in the way he personally revealed it. So I was thinking, as I was getting my sermon ready today, I thought, this is Holy Humor Sunday. I should do something a little different. And I thought, well, what if I did that thing that they do at the late night shows, like Leno and Letterman did, where they had those cards, right? And they'd say, "Oh, check out this one from Irvine, California. Man gets stuck in a washing machine trying to get his cat out." Whatever. And then he tosses it. I thought, but come on. I'm cheesy, but not that cheesy. And then I thought to myself, who am I kidding? Doubt. What a funny thing. There's just so much good stuff wrapped up in this idea of doubt. There was a trial lawyer. He was defending a man who was on trial for murder. And the case was getting ready to go to the jury for deliberations for them to decide the man's guilt. And the lawyer knew he was in trouble because he knew in his heart that his client did the crime. He knew he killed the guy. But there was one thing. There was no body. There was no corpse. So the lawyer thought, okay, all I have to do is instill some doubt in the jury, and okay, there's reasonable doubt. You can't convict him. So he turns around and looks at the back of the courtroom, and at the end of his closing statement, he says, "Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, in less than 1 minute, the man that you presume to be dead is going to walk through that door." He knew he wasn't coming through that door. But he knew, if they for a second thought that that man was coming through the door, reasonable doubt. So everybody looks. Of course, the man doesn't come, and the jury goes to deliberation. 30 minutes later, they come back out. Guilty. The lawyer's flabbergasted. "What do you mean guilty? You all turned around and looked when I said that he's coming through the door. You had doubt." The foreman says, "Yeah, we looked, but your client didn't." Oh. I went to get a haircut the other day, and now I don't have these flowing locks. I don't have this good full mane of hair like Robbie or Jake or... never mind. But when I go, I want it to look good at least whatever you can do with this. And so I'm sitting there at George's Fades across the street where I always go, $6 for a cheap haircut for my Assyrian buddies. And he gets out the clippers, and I've not seen this guy before. And he's like, "Okay, so what do you want me to do?" I'm like, 0 on the side, 2 on the top, I fade, trim up my beard a little bit. Okay. completely impossible. There's nothing to mess up, but he's going to mess it up. You know, I'm watching, like, there's still a line. He's still got a line going, and I'm thinking, oh my God, he's almost done, and there's still a line. I'm going to look funky. Might as well put a bowl over my head and cut around it. Thankfully, as I'm watching, in my disbelief, carrying my doubt with me that this guy can pull off a decent haircut, the line starts to disappear. He goes down in size, a little lower in the size of the clipper. Blend, 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 blend. Oh, thank God. Okay, so what do you want me to do with the beard again? Yeah, anyway. He did okay. But here I was doubting the whole time, sitting through the process thinking to myself, nothing good is going to come of this experience. But in the end, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to walk around looking like a goon, or even worse than usual. But he did okay. But through the whole process, as everything is unfolding before my eyes, I had doubt. And I didn't have to have doubt. I didn't need to have doubt. It was just natural to watch this process and think that it wasn't going to go well. And that is what we do so often in our lives. We carry this doubt that things are going to go well, even though it's unfolding before our eyes, even though things are getting better, but we really don't care to see it until you get towards the end and the light's bright enough that you think, oh, just maybe this could turn out all right. Another place we have doubt is in relationships. And a lot of times that comes from communication. Right? We don't always communicate so well in any type of relationship, and so we have assumptions and we have doubts about one another, and we start thinking things that aren't naturally or necessarily true because we don't go to the people and speak directly. And this happens in our romantic relationships as well. And so it was funny, this morning I'm sitting there eating my bagel as I'm texting Brandyn. Hey babe, just wanted to say I love you, good morning, have a good day at church, and I'm thinking, I'm texting her. Imagine that song, remember the Stevie Wonder song I just called? Right? So imagine if it was, I just texted to say I love you. I am to show how much I care. I just tweeted to say I love you. Right? That's not how the song went. But when do we ever pick up the phone and call somebody and say, hey, what's up? Right? I just had this experience yesterday. Somebody needed a ride and they called me freaking out. Oh my God. This guy said he was going to give me a ride and now he's not going to give me a ride. And I've been texting him 3 or 4 times and he's not responding to me. And I'm like, did you ever pick up the phone and call and see if he's going to give you a ride? Well, no, I don't want to look like an idiot. Seriously? And so she picked up the phone, she called him, and sure enough, oh yeah, I told you I was giving you a ride, what are you freaking out about? Oh, I didn't answer my text. I was at work, I can't text. Oh, why do you do this to me? Pick up the phone for Pete's sake. All these doubts that we have, 90% of them, we can take care of ourselves by doing our own homework, right? By communicating, by checking on things. We don't have to sit there in the dark and doubt how things are going to go and if everything's going to work out right. We can check on things. Then there was Christine. Love this story. Christine is a Chinese American. Her family had just moved from China and they were looking for a place where they could buy a house for a reasonable price, and so they settled in South Carolina. Imagine Mayberry. Something like that. And Christine had pen pals. They were doing pen pals in school, and Christine was about 9 or 10 years old, and so her English was good. I mean, 9 or 10-year-old writing skills and whatnot, but she did okay. And she started getting these letters in the mail addressed to her family, and she was reading them, and she didn't quite get it. Her family, her mom and dad, didn't read English at all, so they would have her do the translating and interpreting as she read the letters. First letter was, we don't appreciate your kind around here. If you would kindly sell your house and leave, we would appreciate it. Signed, the Wizard. Now, she thought, oh, wow, a wizard. Is this like the Wizard of Oz? This is really cool. I've got a pen pal. So she kind of tells her parents what's being said, and she's, in her innocence and naivete, doesn't see the letters as threatening at all, right? She just thinks it's innocent banter, and so she writes back, "Well, hello, Mr. Wizard. We're a nice family. We like it here. Everybody is really neat. We hope that we can be friends with you and the rest of the community." Well, she gets another letter back from the wizard. But the wizard had 3 other initials. His name was the Wizard, but for some reason he also signed KKK on his letters. Why has he got these 3 initials? Which one is he? Oh, well, it didn't matter. Christine, innocent 9, 10-year-old, didn't really matter. And so she kept reading these letters to her parents and writing back to the wizard. And things went well. Things didn't seem to get escalated too bad, except one night she was there with her brother, and she was always told, if anybody comes to the door, do not answer the door. And so when they heard all these on the porch, all these feet coming on the door, knocking on the porch and knocking on the door. "Hey, anybody home in there? Come out here and talk to us." I don't know if they were wearing hoods. I don't think they ever looked out the door to see. But you know who they were. But being the good kids that they were, they didn't answer the door. They thought it was kind of fun. They were playing hide and seek. But had their parents been home, maybe they would have been a little more perturbed, a little disturbed, a little doubtful that they were going to be able to make it in this town. Thankfully, the parents never learned of this event, or maybe they would have packed up and left. Instead, what they did, they said, no, we're not only going to stay, but we're going to become a fixture of the community. So they started a restaurant. Now, Chinese restaurant, they were getting these letters, they were starting to read the writing on the wall, maybe they weren't so welcome, maybe it wasn't a real Chinese-friendly community. So, they opened something that's American, a Hawaiian restaurant, which of course featured Chinese food. But it was Hawaiian because when you walk in the door, you got a leg, right? You put the leg around your neck, and that meant Hawaiian. And the sign had said Hawaiian, so who's going to argue with them? Well, next thing you know, the wizard himself is coming to the restaurant. Not to cause trouble, but to eat the food. It was good. Who cares what you call it? Right? Things started going really well for them. And before you knew it, the entire community loved them. They were glad they were there. They were glad that they were providing another option for food. Right? It became a gathering space in the community. There could have been a whole lot of fear, a whole lot of trepidation and doubt. But in the innocence and naivete of this child who kept writing letters to the wizard, she pulled the curtain, and the wizard came out to play. And it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But doubt could have made them leave. Things could have turned out a lot more differently. But doubt is not so much like we see in the story of Thomas. Doubt is not usually something that can be allayed with solid proof. Right? Thomas is sick. I mean, he's like, I'm not going to believe him unless I stick my finger in his nail wound and my hand in his side. I mean, yeah, it's him. That's disgusting. What's the matter with you, dude? There's got to be other ways to prove that this is Jesus. But okay, Thomas has his issues. That's fine. He doubted. But you know what? I don't blame him. Doubting is healthy. Doubting is good, especially in society today where we believe everything that we hear, right? If it's on some weird website, some purported news, I'll have friends call me up, "Oh my God, did you hear?" I had one friend tell me the other day that the entire country of North Korea had evacuated because they were afraid they were going to get nuked by Trump. Where'd they evacuate to? I didn't hear about a mass influx of refugees into South Korea or China. I don't know. They didn't get picked up by a blimp. But it was in the news. It was on the internet, so it must be true, right? And that's how we are in our society. We hear something from somebody, we read something, we say, oh, so-and-so said. Usually we don't even care about the sources anymore, right? If we hear it, even if we didn't even hear correctly, so-and-so said that, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And usually it's not even so-and-so. Usually it's the editorial they, right? They say, who the heck is they? And they aren't very smart neither. So why are we listening to them? We're usually just making stuff up. But in so doing, we create doubts, fears, problems that we don't need to have. And so Jesus comes in to this room with all the disciples, and he says, peace to you. Peace. This word had so many meanings, so many connotations in the situation. Peace. You guys are scared. You're afraid of the people outside these doors. You're afraid of the Jews. You're afraid of the Romans. You guys have been accused of trying to mount an insurrection. What's going to happen to you? Relax. Peace. I give to you. You guys stabbed me in the back. You all fled like cockroaches when they came to arrest me. Peter, I told you what you would do, and you did it, didn't you? Mm-hmm. And then there was Judas. Judas felt so bad he hanged himself. Peace I bring to you. Forgiveness I give you. If you forgive, people are forgiven. Because, and I love the way they put this in the message, because if you don't forgive somebody, what are you going to do with it? Right? If you don't forgive a sin, what are you going to do with it? Why hold on to it? And so Jesus is saying, hey, no hard feelings. Peace to you. Now they still had doubts. And doubt is so normal. Yeah, we create it for ourselves. Yeah, we exacerbate issues, but doubt is just the natural state of being human. Right? We get a diagnosis and say, I doubt things are going to go well for me. Right? You apply for a job. Oh, I doubt I'm going to get hired. I mean, there's so many better people than me. We have doubts about everything. Everything. And there's no way to go like Thomas did and said, let me put my finger in your hand or my hand in your side. Right? Okay, oh, there's my proof. Okay, everything's fine. It doesn't work that way, right? We have to wait. We have to wait. We sit there and we watch this haircut unfold. We keep writing letters to the wizard. We persevere. We hope. We think just maybe things might be okay, because there's no way to take care of them in the moment. There's no way to say, yeah, okay, I've seen the proof. Everything's good. No. You don't know how things are going to turn out, so the doubt sticks with you. So it's not about taking away the doubt by proving that things are going to be okay. It's about the hope. It's about trusting in God that I don't see how this is going to work out. But I trust God that you are going to make something great out of this situation. Whether it's through some miraculous, supernatural seeming kind of big way, or whether you use somebody who's right here next to my side I wasn't even paying attention to, that's going to answer my prayers. That's how we take care of doubt. That's what Jesus meant when he went to the disciples and said, my peace I bring you. My peace I leave with you. Because despite the way things look, things are going to be okay. Sometimes things look really bad. And yeah, it ain't funny. But God's got this. Don't worry about it. That was kind of fun. Please don't slip on those